And you are most welcome to GBC News here. And I'm Theophilus Sampa bringing you the page. And today happens to be a special day because we're going to celebrate a living legend. Celebrating it because it is very, very unique. And 20th of September was yesterday. Something happened some 45 years ago. The sports, pugilism, brought Ghana to the world's limelight. Sold Ghana more than tourism or any other thing could do for the world. A certain young gentleman by name David Kotei, known in the boxing circles as Poison, took the world by storm. Challenged a world champion then, destroyed the world champion, and it was chaos then in California. 45 years on, what has happened to this gentleman? He's a living legend. He's still around. We're talking about DK Poison, David Kotei Poison. We're celebrating because yesterday was the 20th of September, and 45 years ago, he made Ghana proud. Today, I've been joined by a seasoned sports journalist. I call him a broadcast journalist because he loves to do it. But he has other portfolios that he occupies, but he prefers to be this. And he is a boxing enthusiast. So we'll keep it at that because the man here is blessed, full of energy. Any day he sees you, he'll put a smile on your face. And that spirit, I pray, keeps on and on and on. I have no other person in the studio today to help me celebrate this hero than a senior colleague. He has been in the industry for a while now. Mr. Muhammad Amin Lamti. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm deflated with the titles or senior.
Oh, I didn't say much.
No, very well. But I think I'm humbled by this sweet introduction.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it happens to be a special day in the country. Everybody is at home or relaxing just to reflect on what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, did for us. When you look at this day, just in a summary, how should the youth celebrate this day? It's a holiday, yes.
I think the bottom line is all about the spirit of nationalism. That is what I can pick from what Nkrumah has done.
Okay.
A lot of people have their perspective. Some agree with his policies, some disagree with him. Some believe that he misled the country and all that. I mean, the legacy that he left behind are there for all to see. So whether you agree with him or not, let's look at Ghana as a country. Ever since we lost him, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of road network, in terms of youth development, in terms of employment, in terms of even trying to showcase Ghana across the globe, all of us can do the permutations. Do your own analysis. You don't need anybody to tell you. You know, historians can turn issues around and be able to write things just to suit their agenda. But as a young person, I always believe that the most important thing is the spirit of nationalism. You have to believe in yourself. You must make sure that at any given time you serve as an ambassador to your nation, be it sports, be it business, be it whatever. Make sure you portray yourself in a positive manner that will serve your country positively. I think that is what I think Nkrumah has left behind. Whether we like it or not, when you read, when you see, when you feel, and whatever that you think about Nkrumah, you need to appreciate him. Provided he's the founder of the country, provided he's the one who led the way for us to have our independence, regardless of the, misgivings or whatever that you have with him, he needs to be celebrated.
It needs to indeed to be celebrated, and today we are celebrating an icon when it comes to sports in this country. Somebody that really defied all the odds, because at that particular time, the gentleman DK Poison fought was the champion.
That was Ruben Olivares.
Was a champion then.
Was the champion then.
And DK left this country. He didn't fight here, left this country, went to California, stood behind all the crowds that were there, 10,000 packed stadium, and then did the impossible. I want you to run us through. I know you've been with DK for some time now. You've seen him go. Then, pugilism, when you see them fight, they don't end on the 12th round. It goes to 15 rounds.
15 rounds, yeah.
Grilling times. Who is DK Poison and how well do you know him?
No, very well. I think that, you see, there's a linkage here. We're celebrating, an icon as the first president of this republic. And then yesterday we celebrated an individual who has been nurtured, groomed through, the system of nationalism. So he was one of the young guys who were motivated by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah at the time. So you talk about DK Poison. DK Poison was an individual who never thought of boxing. What that he taught at the time was about education. Those days it was at Kimbo. So those days young guys, when they go to get daily graphic or whatever, the page that they go to check information in the sports column. So this very day they went and they saw a boxer. He just looks like DK Poison at the time. So his colleagues came down and said, hey, brother David, this guy just looked like you. So David was like, hey, so this is a boxer. If this guy is a boxer, I'm better than him, even though I've never been in the ring before. So DK went home and then he started trying to put one or two together. He had a punching bag. The dad and the mom said, no, boxing is not what we want you to do. So he left home. He left home and went to live with a friend at Accra Newtown for years. So DK one day spoke to one boxing trainer and then he invited him. So the very first day he entered into that gymnasium, the trainer was flabbergasted. He was asking him, come on, are you sure you are a novice? He said that I have never boxed before. It was, I trained myself because I just used the punching bag and that's it. The guy couldn't believe it because the stance, the artistry, everything was so unique that the guy could not convince him that he was a novice. He has never, he has never been into boxing. So DK didn't go through the juvenile, ranks.
Juveniles.
No, as we normally have it. Before you can have a crack boxer, you must have somebody who has gone through the mill. He never went through the mill. He didn't go through the juvenile. He didn't go through the amateur. He joined a gymnasium where you have professional boxers and amateur boxers. He went and was beating everybody.
Wow.
Okay. Then 1975, he had his debut. I think he fought against a famous Latte, and then he stopped him around 6. Thereafter, DK started beating everybody. So that is how he got a recognition. He got the incentive. He got the support of everybody, and he was propelled till he became African champ. He defeated this boxer from Egypt, Taha Ben Hassan. That was when he became the African featherweight champion. And then he moved on to defeated Ivan Armstrong from UK for the Commonwealth title. So this is when everybody realized that the man is ripe. So that is how come he traveled to Australia. He stayed there for some months. He fought, I think, almost about 7 fights. He won 5 and lost 2. And then he came back for the world title process. So the process started. They were quite a bit skeptical, but he told them that, look, he knows that he can do it. So that is how come he had a chance of fighting his first world title fight against Ruben Olivares. As you give the background, in California, he was chaotic after the fight because they knew that Olivares was the darling boy.
Very soon we have some archival materials that will be showing, talking about even at the end when it was obviously clear that Kotei had stopped the world champion.
Very well.
Some nasty scenes we saw some time back at our Bukum Arena when boxers and fans really didn't agree to a referee's decision. I never knew in the UK and in US they were throwing missiles.
No,
they destroyed
not
everything.
Only in boxing, every sport.
And so my producer would just play that one when DK. This is the particular fight.
That is the fight.
It traveled 15
rounds, and then he won it by a split point decision. So it tells you that DK on this day, if you look at his body language, if you look at his muscles, you look at his stance, and look at look at the legs. DK looks very energetic, very enthusiastic, and he knows that he has a mission on this day. The fans knew that Olivares was a darling boy. He has a bigger punch, he has a very strong chin, he knows what to do at what time. But unfortunately, DK neutralized him on the day. So that is how, boxing is not about going to war. There are those who believe in betting. So these are the people, you can't tell how much they invested in betting for the fight. So they've sort of, bet so much in the fight, and then they sat back, watched their boxer losing. At the end of the day, psychologically, mentally, someone reacts. So that was a reaction that we saw.
So we'll see that reaction again in the second video that will be played very, very soon. Visibly, we saw some of them, and even the security
picking off chairs,
and throwing them. And I was saying, wow, how on earth could this really happen? This particular incident. So it has ended, and it will end soon.
Very soon. It's unbelievable. And then sometimes you can't be. You see, he has gone down. And this is a guy. Before this fight, nobody has ever took him to the canvas.
So 50 rounds.
The left jab took him to the canvas. So they were totally frustrated. Their egos were deflated, and then you can't begrudge them. But I see, for me, the vandalism that we saw,
very soon we'll see them. They will start misbehaving because they still didn't agree. Like you said, maybe they've invested. These are the gentlemen. They've started again. So you see them now. It has started, and it will continue.
Beating up someone, even the coach. I was told that the coach even got injured in the process. Look at what is going on.
Meaning this was just not an ordinary fight.
It wasn't.
And so how many Ghanaians were there? I guess it was
at the time the sport was just growing because we've never been there before. He was the man who blazed the trail, and then he went there, saw it, and conquered. So he came back and then nurtured the passion in boxing for Ghanaians. So at the time, nobody was even interested. You see, one good thing about DK's process to this world title fight was that he was managed by the nation. And
nation?
Yes, under the leadership of Ike Achampong, because according to him, at that time, he was more or less like the Lone Ranger. So they have to make sure that he would come out with the right things, the right signals to tell us that we still have a lot of talents that need to be supported. So he was smart.
So meaning there was governmental support.
Exactly.
Full one.
Exactly. You see, the issue about this nationalism that I spoke about earlier from the Nkrumah time, switch into the time of Ika Champon, it gave him that zeal, that confidence that is a nation that can support me. So he was being supported by the nation. The nation is aware of his movement, his diet, his accommodation, everything before he traveled there. So government delegation supported him in this very fight. So DK was not like an ordinary champion that would have his own manager, his own promoter. No, it was a nation that strategically sat down, plan it, have their strategy, get the right caliber of people. This year, the trainer who went and who took him to the world title, he was brought in at the 11th hour because at the point they realized that, look, we need certain qualities to help us achieve this aim. And he went, he saw and conquered. And that is what we lack today as a nation.
So why have we stopped?
No,
why has the nation backed out?
It's about leadership. If you don't have good leadership, if you don't have national policy, that you need to have timeline. Okay, you can even say that football in the next 40 years, this is the plan. Okay, every 5 years we have to do some evaluation. Look at where we've gone off. Look at where we've gone right, and then we can correct ourselves. I'm telling you, in the next 40 years, Ghana will become a country that nobody can even describe. But you see, it's about leadership. You have your vision. You come out with your manifesto, and then you rule for 8 years. When you leave, when I come, I would ignore everything that you've started, regardless. Okay, but if you have a national policy, just look at the United States. Whether it's Republicans, whether it's Democrats, they care less. All that they are interested in is that we must appreciate the spirit of continuity. It's about the development of the people. It's about how you can bring jobs to the youth. It's all about trying to bring food on the tables of your people. But what do we see? Change of government has really caused this country. You see, I wouldn't want to say that we need an autocratic leader who is going to be in the saddle for the next 30 years. But I think that Africa, sometimes if you do the analysis, it looks like that is what we need. Because you start something that can take us to our dreamland. You get to the point when you are off, even when you died, may God forbid, any person that will inherit you will change the way. So that is why we are where we are.
Let's go and have a flashback of when he arrived. Okay. I every day I get opportunity to watch that and I cringe, and I feel that there's a missing link somewhere.
Exactly.
In our today. Yeah. We only saw it when government decided that we'll pump money into the Black Stars for them to go for their first World Cup. Yeah. We didn't even do that for the Queens because they were the first to go.
And the DK one is justifiable because the government supported him, they financed him, they invested in him. So when he went and conquered, you will see the arrival.
Yes,
the president, the head of state was there.
We'll quickly check the arrival of DK. This was 45 years ago, and so mind the pictures and everything. And so we'll quickly have a look at it. When he arrived from the airport, there was crowd. Something that was so beautiful. Crowd. I don't know, but this is Kotoka International Airport. Look at the crowd. I don't know whether they are from Jamestown or any other place, but just look at it. Yeah, he was celebrating.
And then that is the former head of state there in your picture, and everybody was there. And
this is the gentleman.
Exactly.
Wow.
45 years ago, how old were you then? I'm just asking. Rhetorically.
What? Yeah. And meaning that when DK was in the ring, he knew that he had the spirit of the people of Ghana.
No.
Now we see boxers go and nobody even cares.
No, it's that we actually move off the rails, as I indicated. If you have a policy that is guiding the nation, and individuals know this policy, they know that you cannot do this without this or without that. People will follow suit.
Wow.
You know what he told me when I hosted him. He told me, I mean, you know one funny thing. Those who were telling me not to do boxing and those who were condemning me and they could even ask me to leave home, and you see, something was given to him. They were the first people to have met him at the castle.
Because here, after that, you were told that he was given a house.
Very well. And that is where he lives today.
And as a star now.
Yeah, in Tishi. Yeah, that is, I went there, I saw the place, but I'm not happy.
Because it hasn't 45 years.
Exactly.
Nothing has happened to
it doesn't look good. And I tried to do something, but unfortunately, something did came my way, and unfortunately, I couldn't be able to achieve. But I think that it's not over yet, because the place, if you go there, I mean, the frames for the house is down. It's not the breast. The house needs some painting.
This is Ghana's first gentleman that won us a world title in boxing.
Exactly. In terms of even the house compound, something needs to be done. And then in terms of the interior, I wouldn't want to get into that. But I'm saying that till you and I can even come together, let's see how best we can get some of these companies who are into painting and all that. Let's get them to go and sort of try to polish up the house. Let's get individuals who can support us with cement and blocks. Let's go and erect. The frames and all that. I think that he's our man. He's the man who led the way for Azuma Nelson, I Kotei, the later Cobra Kotei, Marvelous Nana Kunedu, Joshua Clote, Joseph Kinkona Beko, Isaac Degbe, Richard Comey, Emmanuel Tego, and all that. That's this week. You're going to have your son.
Yes, Duke
Micah fighting. So it was DK who actually opened up the doors. He gave them the impetus for them to believe in themselves that they can do it. But what is going on when it comes to our politicians, their manifesto? Yeah, they talk about sports. But specifically, the sports that catapulted Ghana into the limelight. As you said in your introduction, what have we done for that sport? Okay? How many gymnasiums do we have? How many plans have we have for boxing trainers? Go to Bukom and see the gymnasium. You will cry. As if it was as if it is just I don't know the word to use, as if a neglected sport. You know what, this is number one sport. When did we start following football? Azuma also would make sure everybody would stay awake for hours just to watch him.
People set up bonfires.
Exactly. He sponsored himself. I understand there was a time that himself sponsored the live coverage of his fight just because of Ghanaians. What are we giving back to him? I understand that they are trying to refurbish the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex or whatever. Now, what about DK Poison? What are we doing for him? How do we immortalize his legacy? He has done a lot. How do we make sure that one day, if the man is no more, this man could be celebrated? You know, he told me one thing when I visited him. He said, you know what? all this issue about the $45,000 that
we'll talk about the 45,000 because the last time I had a chat with him, I remember a sports journalist, Kobe Asma, wrote a book. And then there, we asked him about this amount of money that he doled out to the government. Because at that time, we were told that there was hardship in the country. And so they needed his money, his purse, what he had. They took some $45,000 then, 45 years ago, to buy mackerel. Currently, we call it sardine.
Or tinapa.
To show whatever we have here in sugar and other things. Up till today, the government has never been able to refund his money back to him. He touched on it, and I think that we're just celebrating him, but we need you to also appreciate, like what Mohammed is saying, that can't we all hold hands together and say, we want to go and do something for this gentleman? We shouldn't wait for him also to die, and then write long tweets and say beautiful things about him. Let's listen to him again. This is what he had to say when we asked him about this particular development, that has he received this money? He walked us through memory lane. Let's listen and come back.
I went to Japan 75 and I had a fight with one Fukuyama. Fortunately, I won third round. After the fight, our embassy there, she had a cocktail. During the celebration, we had a telex. You know telex? You don't know, not fast to telex, but then telex. That by then it was military regime, and the president was Kutu Achampo, you know, but there were agitation that he should step down because things are, I think because of that, he has, to create a president, this will be, okay. So we had this telex that they should use part of my money to buy mackerel to throw the money. So what do I have to say? I was a subordinate, and also boxer and promoter doesn't deal, Promoter deal with a manager. Right? So my manager was George Conestator. So he wrote the Disney, he read the Disney for us. So what I have to say, I said, okay, go ahead. Unfortunately or fortunately, they didn't tell me how much money we were going to take from it. But when I reached Ghana, I had a call from Special Assistant to Kotei Achampo, distance. He said, I've got something from Barclays Bank. But then they were my bankers. When I went, they gave me a paying slip. That was they paid $30,000. So the whole figure was $75,000. So it was there that I knew that it was $45,000 that has gone. Because if you pay $30,000 in my account, my purse was $75,000. Then where is the how much money? It was on the how do you call it, on the paying slips. There's a portion that are written the division of my purse as I grew upon in Tokyo. Then it's a clue. It gives you a clue that something has happened. What I grew upon what? Like I said, I haven't started, enter into agreement that but just a verbal this thing, a verbal word that I should know. So I have to comply with what, the leader of our delegation or the president of the board was Kenneth Slater. He's a military man. He was a military man. Achampo was a military man. And they have a term, obey before complain. So, whom I am to refuse.
You obeyed.
Yeah.
And then you had your 30,000.
No.
But since then, what assurance did they give you after taking that money?
They said they pay me a city equivalent. When you reach Ghana, I've been trying. Not too long, then he was overthrown. That's how it ended. And since then, I've been trying to petition some successive.
Okay. So you heard from this legend. He's still alive anyway, and my prayer is that God will keep him for a while, and then maybe this current leadership will see and then really pay him. So 45 years ago.
45 years ago, but look at his demeanor. You can still see that nationalism You know, you can see a soul that want to die a lot for a nation. Now you ask our footballers, those who would have to go and play game before they go in, they have to give them their per diem, they have to give them their bonuses. This is somebody 45 years ago. And you see the narrative. And then he was giving a term in the military at the time.
Obey
before complain. And then you link that with this spirit of nationalism. So he allowed the money to go. He knew the price was $75,000. They gave him the paying slip. I mean, that is what is left, 30,000, meaning that 45 was gone. Okay. I mean, sometimes I wouldn't want to blame the government. I wouldn't want to blame the government in the sense that I will blame his handlers and then the commissioner for sports at the time.
But I won't catch you, but at that particular time, there was a need. He said they were using it to buy mackerel.
Mackerel.
Because there was none in the country.
Exactly, for the nation. The nation
so he was serving the nation.
The nation was in a crisis.
Yes.
Okay, and I spoke to Alhaji Majesty. It's one of the Forest Bureau operators. When he watched the show, he said, I mean, that $45,000.
45 years ago.
45 years ago, if you want to do the needed calculations and be able to pay him, I mean, the interest or whatever, this man would go home for more than 400 million Ghana cedis. No, he is into this business. He made a permutation and calculation 45 years ago, $45,000. Even what he told me was that, I mean, I'm just giving you
yes, because if we are really going to look at then the interest rates
exactly
for $45,000, and even currently, if you have $45,000, the interest rates, or even changing it currently,
and the man is not even demanding that you should ask no, just give me my $45,000. You know, let me just give you this, Theo. The reason why I'm saying that I'm not really blaming any government is that apart from the paying slip, there was no any document, as it were, to prove otherwise. And this man cannot just wake up from his slumber to come and lie to Ghanaians that he has borrowed or he has loaned Ghana such and such amount of money. Okay, those who were there actually came out and said it was true. Now, he started with J.J. Rollins, the late Nathan Kwao. According to him, he met him, he spoke to him, and Nathan Kwao just told him that, oh, but what you did was good, so don't worry about that. So you can let go. So he actually discouraged him. May the soul of Nathan Kwao rest in peace. And then he moved on, I think, to that is Kufuor regime. The Kufuor regime too, he tried it several times, he didn't work. Then came that Tamo's time. He started it. It got to the point, it looks like it was coming, he never came. And then he linked up with the late David Lamte. You know, David Lamte was the one who started the initiative. He even spoke to the former president, John Mahama. You know, DK called, he called David Lamte. And David asked him, President Mahama, do you know who is on the line? He said, this is the president. And he was so excited. So then there was a link between David and then former President Mahama. And then there was a program at the arena. They met there. President Mahama gave them whatever is due them. That was when the place was commissioned.
Yes, I remember.
And he assured him that
the money will come.
It will come, to all intents and purposes. But he actually introduced DK to the then minister. I don't want to mention him for the sake of victimization or whatever. And then the president told him that DK will come to you. Just try to let him come to me. DK went several times. He will go to the office, no response, nothing. So John Mahama lost the seat in 2016. And currently, I was told that the process continued. The current minister, Isiama, understand that he's doing very, very well to make sure that the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, will live up to the billing. And I was told they are now at the verge.
No, I also have information that Nana Akufo-Addo met them before even the book was launched. Eko Asmai's book. And there was this discussion about it. And the same commitment from the president, because he told him that I'm also a boxing fan.
Exactly. You know, he was a boxer before.
Yes, and so I will do this for you. So the process must start. When has the process gone so far?
I can tell you to all intents and purposes.
Now,
for now,
there's nothing happening.
I am highly, highly optimistic because I have spoken to some top guys in government.
And they are saying that
And
the
then,
ministry
yes,
is in the process.
as I indicated, is getting closer. I can, with what I heard from them, it's almost about 80% complete. And I'm very sure that he'll get the money. You know, the last time that I went there, he said something that really touched my heart. You know, he actually put me into a different situation. He said, I mean, this money, what I need this money for is that I just want to renovate my house, polish it up. Have my kids there, my grandkids are there. So when I even leave today, do you know what he told me? He said, I mean, when you attain the age of 60, you should start to prepare yourself, bag and baggage to leave this world. I mean, what will come after 60 is just a bonus. It's like you don't know today or tomorrow. That was what he told me. So he made me to understand that if I have any projection, if I have any personal manifesto for myself, then I must make sure that the cut-off point is 60 years. If I'm fortunate to get 60, then I have to say hallelujah. But whatever that will come after 60 is just like a bonus. So now it's in the bonus stage, and that is his pain. I need this money not to go and buy food, not to go and buy whatever. I just want to polish up the house, refurbish it. I want to see this all looking good before I go. And we are still there. But I think that he deserves to be celebrated. And I'm happy that he is very vocal, very disciplined, and then he's very humble. If you listen to him, he's not somebody who was vociferous, who was so, radical and all that. He is very calm in presenting the issues. DK cannot come out and lie to us. Look at what is happening in our country, in African countries. Look at the money individuals, put into their pocket in a day, in one business. There's somebody who has done something for 45 years, $45,000.
To buy macro. I'm still thinking. At that particular time, shortage in Ghana, everything was in chaos. Then this gentleman goes out there, makes this amount of money, and then government did not even consult him. Ordered that we are taking your money. And then they took the money and promised that we'll give you back your money because you are using it to solve a problem. Then
let me give you an interesting scenario.
To buy macro
for the nation. I'm sure your mom, your grandmom, your granddad, maybe your parents, they participate, they also enjoy the macro. Let me give one example. Why do you think that Joshua Clottey lost the fight against Man Pacquiao? In boxing, anybody who knows boxing knows that Man Pacquiao cannot stand, Joshua Clottey.
Everybody was disappointed in Joshua because they felt Joshua really didn't give off his
Exactly. He was not ready for the party. Do you know why? He appeared on my show on VTV Sports Plus. He said it clear and even apologized to the nation that at the time, the manager was taking the lion's share of the press. And then he sat in his hotel room. He was contemplating on the fight. And he said, you know what? I have to talk to this man. So he spoke to the manager and said, you see, you are taking so amount of money. Why don't you give me 2 or 3% from your money so that I will be buoyed, I will be motivated extra? The man said no. So they argue, and the man said no.
That was proud to the fight.
Proud to the fight. So Joshua went into the fight with divided attention. So Joshua was fighting, let me just fight, get out of the ring, whether lose or win, I don't care. So you see, can you imagine if DK was informed earlier
that when he wins, they will take his money?
Yeah, I understand the point. So they were very strategic. They didn't tell him. Even after the fight, DK was presented with the title in the hotel, not at the arena.
Yes, because of the
situation. So the point is, when they told him, he never contested them. He never. How many Ghanaian boxers will even come home when you delay in giving their press? Look at currently, Kabik and Lati. Look at what is going on just because of press. So you see, sometimes I think that our Ghanaian boxers should also learn how to be humble, how to relate with their promoters and managers. Because this Lati issue, briefly, I'm not trying to.
Our time is even up. So
you have a promoter who has promoted about 2 fights, spent almost about $80,000 on you, propel you, gave you the platform, and took you to the bigger stage. And then after the fight, money that was supposed to be given to the promoter, they didn't give, the required amount of money. Later on, there was some issues. And then the boxer could even call the promoter and ask him issues that should not be asked by the boxer. Now, the GBA is not trying to see how best they can resolve the issue. So the bottom line is that we saw what DK did. Boxers, they have to be serious. They have to be humble. They must also respect what they are doing as boxers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amin Lamte, boxing enthusiast, broadcast journalist. You just name it, and there is a lecturer here and there, father, a motivator, an inspirer, everything. Thank you very much for your time. That has been the page today. We celebrated DK Poison, not because of anything, but 45 years ago, this gentleman won Ghana's first world title, DK Poison. We salute you wherever you are, and we are saying that may the good Lord continue to bless you.
But you've forgotten to tell your viewers that the poison was a nickname for his grandfather.
Wow.
The grandfather was a street fighter.
Wow.
So I think there was something that he inherited. You know, when you look at his lower lips, there is something there that the grandfather had. So it was like a reincarnation of the grandfather. So that is how come they give him the nickname Poison.
So on this note, we say thank you very much for being part of us. That's been the page. The page will resend same time tomorrow. But remember, keep watching GBC News. Bye for now.